My name is Brittany Mojica. I will be presenting my lesson plan for math in 3rd grade today. We will be dealing with the type of graphs, a little bit of vocabulary. We're going to use two anchor charts that we will be, one which is pre-filled and one where we would fill as a group. And the goal for this lesson plan is to create bar graphs based on collected data that we have gathered with the students. The lesson title that I chose for this was Birthday of Students by Months, because we will be using their birthdays months for this lesson plan. So at the beginning of my lesson, I would have the board already pre-made, which would be each month already cut off in like a little section, and this is how the board would look like. We would have the title of our lesson would be Birthday of Students by Months. We will have it January, February, March, April, May, June, July, August, September, October, November, and December, which will be all the months of the year. And at the beginning of the class, I will be providing each student with a sticky note, and in the sticky note they would be putting their names, and as they're walking into the classroom they will have their sticky note, and they will be putting the sticky note wherever their birthday lands. So let's say someone's birthday lands in May. They would come and put that sticky note right there, and that would create one tally mark for the month of May. And in our class we would have 25 students, and we would divide they will come up and put their sticky notes / tally for the month they were born in. So one was born in January, we have 3 in February, 1 in March, 2 in April, and 1 in May. But this one already has a tally, so we skip it over and we go to June. So they would go to June, which June has 6 students that are born in June. So that would be 6 tally marks. 2 in July, 1 in August, 1 in September, and 3 in October, 1 in November, and then 3 in December, which would all add up to 25 tally marks because we have 25 students. So it would be 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, 7, 8, 9, 10, 11, 12, 13, 14, 15, 16, 17, 18, 19, 20, 21, 22, 23, 24, 25 tally marks. So we do have this. And from here, I would ask the students, what have we created or what have we done? Most likely they would say they created a table, and I will let them know that we have created a table, which it's called a frequency table. A frequency table tells us the number of times an event, category, or group occurs. And from here I will set this to the side and let them know that we will be using this table in one of our assignments coming up, and we're going to set this to the side. And now we will work with a little bit of vocabulary, and with what I initially have said. We will be working with 2 anchor charts, which are this one, which is the type of graphs, which is already pre-filled, and this one they will use it to write down notes on their notebook for further references, or if they just need a little refreshing up. And on this one we have graphs, which, as you can see, it has some information but it's missing a couple. This is where we would work as a group. We will read it over and see what best fits the type of graph that they're asking to put in something that is missing. And from both of these anchor charts, they will be getting information that will be used for their future references or just for refreshing. This will be posted in the bulletin boards after we're done with this assignment. They would have it in their notebook, and then they will also have it in the bulletin board where they just could go up and see it whenever they need a little refresher or just need to see what what we learned about the previous day. Here we have a better view of one of the anchor charts that I will be using in my lesson plan. Here we see that the title of this anchor chart is type of graphs, which is located at the top of the table. We have a frequency table, a bar graph, a pictograph, and a dot plot. From what I had previously said, a frequency table is used to tell the number of times an event, a category, or a group occurs. Here we have a frequency table made for the favorite foods. The category that we have are pizza, hamburgers, hot dogs, and wings. As you can tell, we have the tallies that have been marked and the number representing how many tallies we have. Next, we have a bar graph. This is used to compare data by how much or how many something was picked. We have a bar graph chose on favorite colors. We have 3 categories, which is blue, green, and purple. On this side of the bar graph, we have the number of students going from 0 to 2, from 2 to 4, 4 to 6, and 6 to 8, and 8 to 10. This on the bar graph is called a scale. The next type of graph that we have is a pictograph. A pictograph shows how many by using an icon or a picture. Right here we have a favorite fruit. We have cherry, oranges, and bananas. And we have a key here telling us what kind of fruit we have. We also have it said that each picture stands for 2 that has been chosen twice. So this one cherry is count for 2. This one goes for 2, which goes to 4. And then this one also has 2, which goes to 6, and so on. Here we have one orange that is full, which counts for 2. This one's full, and this one's half, which half of 2 is 1. So right here we only have 5 oranges. The next one that we have is bananas. We have 2 whole bananas, which means it's 4 that. The next type of graph that we have is a dot plot. A dot plot is a graphical display of data using dots which is typically used for smaller data. Here we have the number of video games, and the title of it is number of video games students own, where we see how in 0, which we have 1, 2, 3, 4, 5 students that do not own any video games. Next we have 1 student that owns 2. We have 3 students that own 4. We have 5 students that own 6 video games, and we have 2 that own 8. This is one of the anchor charts that we will be using in our lesson plan, and will be used for them to take notes on their math notebook. The next anchor chart that we will be using is this one. Here we are kind of dealing with more with a vocabulary type. We have graphs. A graph shows data, information in many different ways. They are quick and easy to read. As you can tell, some of this information is missing. Here we would do it as a class all together, where we would pick up a red marker to distinguish what was already there and what we did together. Blank shows data on a number line and shows frequency. Here we would ask the student to look at the graph that is shown and determine what type of graph best fits there. So we would go, bar graph shows data on a number line. From what we see, it is not a bar graph. We try to compare with which one fits best. And right here we see that dot plot is one of them that fits. Dot plot shows data on a number line and shows frequency. Then we would go to our next graph, which is blank is used to compare data. We see that our graph has bars. The closest graph that we have is called a bar graph. The next one is blank shares data in picture form. The last graph that we have would be a pictograph. And we will write it down there. I will give the students about 5 to 6 minutes during this time for them to record all of this data into their notebook, and here they would have a chance to ask questions if they don't understand something or they just want to add something else that probably one of the students missed. Now that I gave enough time for the students to write down this information in their notebook, I will be letting them know that we will be working with two different types of graph today, which are a frequency table and a bar graph. But we already worked on our frequency table, which we did at the beginning of the class. Our frequency table was made when each student had a chance to go and put their sticky note on the board. That's how we created our frequency table. Now that we've done that, we have to create our own bar graph. And that's where we will begin with our assignment. Now that we are done with our anchor charts and writing our notes in our notebook, we will be putting these to the side and bringing out our frequency table that we have previously done at the beginning of class. I will be passing out the assignments that we will be doing. We will be doing a worksheet that says birthday of students by month. Here we are, the beginning of the instructions says students will gather this data once they come into class, which we previously done already. Here the students will go starting from January to February, putting how many tally marks there are. So we have 1 for January, 3 for February, 1 for March, 2 for April, 1 for May, 6 for June, 2 for July, 1 for August, 1 for September, 3 for October, 1 for November, and 3 for December. Here they have already created their frequency table. Now that they've created their frequency table, the students will be able to create their own type of bar graph. They'll be able to use crayons, markers, color pencils, or if they just want to use their pencil, they could use whatever they like here. They'll be able to be creative. They can use any color, anything. So now that they have their frequency table, we will create our own bar graph. Here we would, okay. So we know that in January we have 1. So we are gonna go to 1 and color it in. For February we have 2. Color in. If you want, you can use different colors for each month. Use however you want. March we have 1 student. And so far, and that's how each student will be able to do their own bar graph. So for April we have 2 students that their birthday lands on that month. In May we have 1. In June we have up to 6 students, so we go all the way up to 6 and color it in. July, we have 2 students. You could hardly see this color, but it's 2. In August, we only have 1 student. In September, we also have 1 student that their birthday lands on that month. October, we have 3 students. So it goes a little bit over the 2, but not passing all the way to 4. And during this time when the students are doing their graph, this is when I will be walking around to see if each student understands what they're doing, if they have questions, or if they just want to make a comment on what they're learning today. And if a student is way ahead and already finished the assignment and I feel like he is starting to wander off, he's not paying attention, or he's being disruptive to other students, this is where I would play a video relating to what we are going on, what we're studying, what we're learning about, which will be a video from Brain Pop that is directly with our subject, which is a video found on YouTube, which talks about what is a bar graph. This is a little bit of the...
A bar graph is a way to organize and show data. You can write the categories on the bottom. The 3 dinosaurs are the categories. Then you can write the numbers on the side. The numbers in our bar graph show how many people voted for each dinosaur. Let's see. One student liked the Stegosaurus the best.
That they have a frequency table
6 people
where they're
voted for
making
the
a bar graph.
So I color in 6 squares. 7 people said the T-Rex was their favorite dinosaur. You can also put the categories on the left and the numbers on the bottom. You can display the same information in a different way so you can understand it better. How can you use bar graphs to understand information? Bar graphs help you answer questions.
And from that, after we're done viewing this video, that'll be the end of our class, and we will be also giving them another sticky note where they would be able to write what they understood, what they didn't understand, something they're confused about, or something they still need help on, where they would be putting these sticky notes on their way out on the bulletin board next to our door, where I would go after class and read each sticky note, writing notes on what do I have to talk about in my next class, things I have to go over, or anything they wrote, I would just go over, make a note, and talk about it in the next class. And that concludes my lesson plan.